Craven the Hunter, who uses all the methods of the animals.
This Thursday, witness the making of a new Marvel villain.
Once you're on his list, there's only one way off.
Aaron Taylor Johnson is Craven the Hunter. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
The wrongs we must right. The fights we must win. The future we must secure together for our nation. This is what's in front of us. This determines what's next for all of us. We are Marines. We were made for this.
You are now listening to the Dynasty Rewind.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dynasty Rewind. I'm your host, Michael Bauer, the best in the business, once again back in business, joined as always by my faithful co-host, Nate, the Professor Christian. Nate, hello and welcome back.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks. Had a great week of football this past weekend. You know, did you get to watch that Bills-Rams game?
I watched some of it, but having a small child at home, you only get to watch so much football until it's time to relinquish the TV. And I say, go off and watch Frozen for the 50th time.
Well, it was quite the fun game. Possibly the game of the year, depends on who you ask, I'm sure. But we were treated some good football this week. I did miss the first half of the 1 p.m. games, but I did make it back in time just to see the Eagles pull off the victory against the Carolina Panthers. So
I will say Bryce Young looked really good.
Yeah.
Thought he looked very good. Hats off to the Panthers. Dave Canales had a good offensive scheme, and I thought their defense played really well too. So hats off to the Panthers. Panthers have been playing some really tough football lately. So, that being said, it was kind of like the ultimate trap game for the Eagles. They come off their win last week, and then, they have the Panthers, and then kind of looking ahead to the Steelers. So it kind of lines up, like I said, like that perfect trap game, but they got through it. So we'll see what happens this week in Philadelphia against the Steelers. Should be an interesting game. No George Pickens, I believe, already ruled out.
Please win for me, Mike.
Well, there's nothing I could do to help that. I'll go down and suit up. How's that sound?
Just go over there and boo. That would help, I'm sure.
Yeah, gladly. I'll gladly do that. But, until then, let's take a look back a little bit and take a look back a lot of it, if you want to say that. We're going to be stacking some classes against each other. We got a new class coming in, so maybe next year we could do this even differently. But this year we're pitting the 23 and the 24 Dynasty rookie classes against each other. We got 4 positions we're going to look at: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Mike, I know, hey, just wanted to let you know what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to rank each class individually, just the top 5. And we'll be here ranking all night. Plus after the 5, sometimes it gets a little murky. Then we're going to come up with a consensus ranking, who we think is the best. We're going to rank the top 5, combining each class. Does that make sense? If not, bear with me. We'll get there. All right, Nate, let's start with one of my favorite positions, the quarterbacks. Give me your 1 through 5 2023 quarterbacks.
All right, so last year's quarterback class, we've had some ups and downs, but we know for sure that number 1 is C.J. Stroud. At number 2, I currently have Anthony Richardson. As good as Bryce Young has looked over the past couple of weeks, I'm just going to put Anthony Richardson slightly above Bryce Young. Bryce Young, number 3 for me. And then number 4, I'm going to have Will Levis. if I was to pick a fifth one, I really wouldn't want to pick a fifth one. Maybe Aiden O'Connell. Is he? Yeah, I'll put Aiden O'Connell.
Aiden O'Connell did tear his ACL, I believe, or a knee injury. Also, do want to mention Jonathan Brooks, non-contact ACL tear.
Shame.
It's tough. And Derek Carr fractured his left non-throwing arm, so it's been rough out there this week. All right, I'm going to go through my top 4. I didn't do a fifth one on this one as well. I got CJ Stroud at number 1, Bryce Young at number 2, Anthony Richardson at number 3, and then Will Levis at number 4. Just some notable exclusions on this list: Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Hendon Hooker. Nate, you want to give me your top 5 in 2024?
Yes, this class is looking a bit stronger throughout the top 5.
To say the least.
And there's still plenty of movement to happen within this top 5, that's for sure. Number 1, I'm sticking with where I had my rankings a couple weeks ago. I am still going to have Bo Nix at number 1. I know that's kind of a controversial take because of how well Jaden Daniels has played throughout this season. And like I said before, last time we did this, I am totally fine with someone putting Jaden Daniels at 1. I can look at them as 1A, 1B. I think you'd be extremely happy to have either one right now. At number 2, I do have Jaden Daniels. At number 3, I got Caleb Williams. At number 4, I got Drake May. And I know that there's people in the comments last time that were very upset about how we ranked Drake May. I had him down at 4 last time as well. But for me, I need the Patriots to give May more of an offense around him. He needs more talent around him because as good as I think Drake May is, and I think he is a franchise quarterback and going to be in the NFL for a long time, for him to produce for me for fantasy football, he needs more talent around him because fantasy-wise, he has not produced as much as the other 3 guys ahead of him. And then number 5, haven't had a chance to see him yet, but J.J. McCarthy, hey, things are getting a little weird maybe in Minnesota. We'll see what happens with Darnold. But I'm still a believer in McCarthy and the talent that's there. Really, they could use him. So
I do want to say also we're doing this, these rankings is what we know right now, not as prospects. It kind of wouldn't be as fair to rank these guys because we got film on these guys now. So I just want to throw that out there. For me, I'm in agreement with Nate. Bo Nix at number 1 is playing out of his mind. At number 2, Jaden Daniels. Number 3, I have Drake May. Number 4, I have Caleb Williams. And number 5, J.J. McCarthy, with the exception of Spencer Rattler from this last class. I just put him on the list in case anyone wanted to include him, just because he did get some playing time. But was he the emergency quarterback this last week? Because Jake Haener came in.
Sure, but sounds like it's still up in the air if it's going to be Jake Haener or Spencer Rattler this week.
It's going to be interesting. So
should be.
Imagine if you work at MetLife Stadium and your job is to work Jets and Giants games.
Well, at least you don't have to watch them if you're working them. So
that's true. All right, Nate, let's find a consensus ranking here. So who would you say are number 1? Let's go number 1 versus number 1. Bo Nix or CJ Stroud?
We have more tape with CJ Stroud, but fantasy-wise, CJ Stroud has not been that great this year. Now, you can say that there's an issue with, Nico Collins being hurt, definitely really affected that offense. But I think I'm going to have to stick with CJ Stroud right now just because we know a bit more about him and we can project forward a bit longer with CJ Stroud. You never know with these rookie quarterbacks. I want to see them get into their second year and still be able to perform.
Yeah, I agree with that. So number 2, I had Jaden Daniels for the 2024 class. I had Bryce Young for 2023, and you had Anthony Richardson for 2023. Are we going Bo Nix here? Our number 1 for the 2024 class?
Yep.
Okay. I'm okay with that as well. All right. How do we have this more ranked?
Actually, Mike, I might go ahead and spoil it. I think the rest of this top 5 is going to be the 2024 class.
I think you're right. And this isn't anything against Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, or Will Levis. All right. So I think then number 3, I think our consensus would be Jaden Daniels, right?
Yep.
Just keeping track here in case you hear my keys.
I love the little clicking. You got a mechanical keyboard over there?
I don't know. It's Logitech. All right. So we got, and then you and I were split between Caleb Williams and Drake May.
We were. So we got to compromise here, Michael, in some way. And it should be the fact that Caleb Williams has a lot more offensive talent around him and has performed better so far in fantasy football this year.
You could also say Drake Moore has to do more with less.
Well, he's not doing as much as Caleb.
He has to. I didn't say.
Mike, I care about points in my fantasy lineup. Not what someone could be doing.
You want to talk about Jamar Chase then? Is he the fantasy MVP this year?
Honestly, yes, because the only other player across any position to score more than him is Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase's scoring has been incredible. I think that this wide receiver 2 right now is like a good 50 points behind him. It's pretty remarkable what he's done this year.
Nate went to sit down Monday night thinking he had secured a win. Think you got me on all those massive week 14 bye weeks. I needed 40-some points to win the game, and I got it from Jamar Chase.
It was tough to watch, especially because I still had it before that last play.
And it's funny too, because I didn't watch the second half of the game. I just woke up the next morning, looked at my phone, and just started laughing to myself.
You texted me right pretty early this morning about it.
Oh yeah, I start work at 6, so I'm up. All right, so then we have Caleb Williams at 4. So then number 5 is going to be, well, I think next it would be Drake May if we're going by our rankings here. All right. So the 2024 class looking good so far. Our consensus quarterback rankings: number 1, CJ Stroud; 2, Bo Nix; 3, Jaden Daniels; 4, Caleb Williams; 5, Drake May. Nate, let's move on to running back, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right, Nate, why don't you go ahead and give me your top 5 2023 running backs?
All right. Here at the 2023 running back class, which was pretty good, I got Bijan Robinson at number 1. I got Jahmyr Gibbs at number 2. I got Devon Achane at number 3. Chase Brown at number 4. And Tank Bigsby, my boy Tank, at number 5.
Oddly enough, Nate, we have those ranked exactly the same. Some notable exception we are missing from these rankings here: Kendre Miller, Tajay Spears, Zach Charbonnet. So, Nate, let's go ahead and kick it off with the 2024 class. What do you got for me? Looks like we have a few differences here.
A couple differences. Not as excited about this class as I was last year's running back class. Not as excited about this class as I am about this coming class in the 2025 running back class. But I got Bucky Irving at number 1. I got Tyrone Tracy at number 2. I got Braylon Allen at number 3, Trey Benson at number 4, and poor Jonathan Brooks with his retorn ACL at number 5. And, I mean, it just takes one of those guys who is just off this list having a good back half of the season to maybe move above Jonathan Brooks, because I expect him to miss a good portion of next year's season as well.
Yeah, I mean, we did this before Jonathan Brooks got hurt, but I have Bucky Irving at number 1. I have Trey Benson at number 2, Tyrone Tracy at number 3. The reason I have those guys flip-flop, I do believe in Trey Benson more long-term. I think Tyrone Tracy is a stopgap for the New York Giants. So Tyrone Tracy at 3, Braylon Allen at 4, and then poor old Jonathan Brooks at 5. Notable exceptions here: Isaac Garendo, who does have, I believe, an ankle or foot or a calf strain, something like that. We got a lot coming at us. Like, it's hard for me to keep it all straight. Jalen Wright, Ray Davis, Audric Estime, Blake Corum, and Marshawn Lloyd, who's been just sitting on IR all season. If he was active and playing, obviously this would look a lot different. Yeah. So, Nate, why don't we go ahead? And I think we could, for number 1, we could just go ahead and write down Bijan Robinson.
Bijan Robinson.
Are we saying that number 2, or Bijan? That's great, Mike. I'm thinking Jahmyr Gibbs is number 2 still.
Yeah, I think this is pretty straightforward to start.
Okay, and then number 3.
I'm going Achane.
I'm going Achane as well. So far it's not looking so good for the 2024 rookie running back class. And then after that we had, do you think Chase Brown is better or Bucky Irving?
I would rather have Chase Brown.
So would I, man. All right, and then after that, let's see. We had Tank Bigsby or Bucky Irving.
I'll go with Bucky Irving.
Yeah, I think I would as well.
Much as I love Tank, I just need a bit more of a straightforward path to production with the Jaguars, and I don't seem to be getting that anytime soon. So,
in case you're wondering, if you ever want to look up Bucky Irving stats or anything like that, some sites don't have him as Bucky. His first name is Marquise. You might need to know that if you're looking anything up.
Marquise spelled with a K, not a Q.
That is a very good point.
This episode is brought to you by NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. There's a lot to be thankful for this season. For one, I'm thankful you can get NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV right now for only $209. That's exactly what you need as we head right into the playoffs. You can invite your friends over. Maybe you have a multi-view. You could have 4 different games, one for you, one each for the 3 other friends you invite. you can change the games around as soon as the outcome becomes pretty certain. Dump that game, but in another one. I've become the multi-view master. The moment the one of the games is losing steam, I'm ready to move right in and move it for another one. Build your own multi-view. One of my favorite words. Thank yourself this holiday season. Get NFL Sunday Ticket for the rest of the NFL regular season for just $209. Sign up now at youtube.com/BS. Terms and embargoes apply. Device and content restrictions apply. No cancellations.
Hey, we're back. Let's talk about wide receivers, the position that we all love to build our teams around. Like if you draft Jamar Chase in the first round of a 10-team Superflex league. Just throwing that out there. All right, so Nate, why don't you kick it off for us? Are we the same? No, we're not. We got some differences here. Give me your 2023 wide receivers.
All right. This was the toughest ranking of the entire episode. The 23 wide receiver class was really impressive. So right now, at number 1, I got Puka Nacua. That's chalk. And number 2, I have JSN. I'm fully in on JSN. I'm so excited about what we're seeing from him this year. He's really taken over that wide receiver 1 role with the Seahawks, or at least sharing it with DK Metcalf. At number 3, I have Zay Flowers. And then after this point, it gets a little hard. I did end up ranking Jaden Reed 4 and Jordan Addison 5. But really, I put them into the same tier as Josh Downs and Rashee Rice. If Rashee Rice was playing right now, he would certainly be 4. He would be above Reed and Addison. But since he is on IR and we won't see him again until next year, I did have him off right now. But that is subject to change. And Josh Downs has been really good this year. I do have some quarterback questions about him. And then also, I got to throw Tank Dell in there. He hasn't had quite the season I think some expected him to have, but he's still a very good wide receiver. So really, this wide receiver class, I only rank the top 5, but I would say it's 8 really good players that we could rank.
I agree with that. And there's other guys on here that I like. But we'll get to that in a second. So I also have Puka Nacua number 1. The only real difference that Nate and I have here, I have Zay Flowers at 2, JSN at 3. I mean, it's close. It's a 2A, 2B situation. If I could rank them both second, I would. That being said, I do think Zay Flowers at the wide receiver position on his team has a clear path to more targets. Oh, well, Lamar Jackson's a running quarterback. Look at his passing numbers. He's not a running quarterback. He's a quarterback that can run. Jaden Reed at number 4. Disappointed in some of his numbers recently, but I believe Nate is talking about him on the next pod. Stay tuned for that. Then Jordan Addison at 5. If Rashee Rice was active, was playing and not injured right now, I would be talking about him. I would probably bump him above Jordan Addison. Like Nate said, he's a little streaky. Jordan Addison, that is. And then Tank Dell, question marks there right now this year. Josh Downs, Anthony Richardson's his quarterback. Quentin Johnston is a TCU wide receiver. Cedric Tillman's been hit or miss. And Marvin Mims has all the talent in the world, just hasn't been able to put it together so far in the NFL. I mean, he just had a big game a few weeks ago, but I'm still not putting him in any starting lineups at all. All right, Nate, give me your 1 through 5 on your 2024 class. This one was actually a little tough for me. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, and I will say that my rankings here have changed since we did this a couple weeks ago. At number 1, got Malik Neighbors. At number 2, I got Marvin Harrison Jr. At 3, got my boy Ladd McConkey. I definitely underranked him last time. I moved him up in my rankings because he has been very, very impressive. Number 4, I have Brian Thomas Jr. And number 5, I had to put Rome Odunze at number 5. I don't feel like he's actually the 5th best wide receiver in this draft class. But with how the Bears have looked so far and his production has been, I'm going to have to put him at 5 just because Brian Thomas Jr., Ladd McConkey, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Malik Neighbors have been so good. Yeah. But I do love Rome Odunze. I just talked about it last week. Very similar vibes to JSN with his rookie year. I think Rome Odunze is going to be one of my favorite buys on the offseason. But I do unfortunately have to put him at 5 here.
Yeah, and if you have a contending team out there and you're not, and your trade deadline is still open, go see if you can get some feelers out on Rome Odunze. For me, I have Malik Neighbors at number 1. And let's not forget, in the offseason, there was a lot of people that it was either Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr. A lot of people viewed these guys as very, very close. Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 2. I have Brian Thomas Jr. at number 3. Number 4, I have Rome Odunze. And number 5, I have Ladd McConkey. So Nate, this one's, I think, starting it off, we're going to go Puka Nacua, number 1.
Yep. Mike, I do want to say I'm a little disappointed in you putting Ladd McConkey at 5. I get it, though. I put Rome Odunze at 5. It's tough.
Hey, listen, I'm completely fine disappointing people. Some notable exceptions. I just want to backtrack. Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy, Xavier Leggett, a big drop in the Eagles game this past week. I thought he had it. When you looked at it at first, it looked like he caught it. A.D. Mitchell and then Ricky Pearsall as well. So number 2, I had Zay Flowers. You had JSN for the 23 class. And number 2 over here, Marvin Harrison Jr. Which way you leaning there, Nate?
Or Malik Neighbors. We could put Malik Neighbors here.
Forgot about him. I would feel more comfortable with, I would say JSN or Zay Flowers.
Well, then I'd rather have JSN then.
I shall concede to the, I just don't feel like arguing with anybody.
So you want to put Zay Flowers over Malik Neighbors then a 3?
If it's just what we know now, I'd feel comfortable putting Zay Flowers over Malik Neighbors. But I do think Malik Neighbors probably has a higher long-term ceiling. The only problem is there's obviously going to be a new quarterback coming in. We don't know if that's a rookie or a stopgap. I don't know if Brian Daboll's going to keep his job. They're going to get a new general manager. So Zay Flowers may not have the ceiling of Malik Neighbors, but he definitely has a higher floor right now and a safer floor for me.
All right. If you want to put Zay Flowers there, that works. And then I think the 4 and 5 here are going to come for the 2024 class.
Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Yeah. And Mike, we could go all 10 here if we want.
Let's do it. Why not?
So at 6, we're looking at, we can get into the Jaden Reed, Jordan Addison, or we could go with Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr.
I would say next should probably be Jaden Reed.
Man, I could not put Jaden Reed above Brian Thomas Jr. right now.
Yeah.
Not with how Jaden Reed's played recently. And we'll get to it more, like you said, on the next podcast. But it's been a tale of 2 halves this season.
That's fair. All right, we'll do Brian Thomas Jr. at 6, and then at 7, you would go Jaden Reed here, right?
Okay, sure.
Okay, and then number 8 is going to be, let's see here.
So we're down to Addison, Ladd McConkey, and Roma Dunze.
I would say probably Jordan Addison.
I think that's fine based on his production.
Yeah, he has produced.
He has produced. He has 7 touchdowns. 3 of them came this last week. So
I would say next would most likely be, well, you have Ladd McConkey a lot higher than I do.
I do. So Ladd, and then rounding it out with Rome. See, once again, it feels wrong to have Roma Dunze so far down. But there it is.
But here he is. So let's go through our consensus top 10 wide receivers. Puka Nacua, JSN, Zay Flowers, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., Brian Thomas Jr., lots of juniors out there, Jaden Reed, Jordan Addison, Ladd McConkey, and Roma Dunze.
Now, Mike, let me ask you this.
Ask me anything you want, my friend.
You did not include Josh Downs, Rashee Rice, Tank Dell. And I think out of the 3 of them, it's probably more so Josh Downs or Rashee Rice. Would you put either one of them in this top 10 over a Dunze or Ladd McConkey?
If Rashee Rice was healthy, I'd probably have him right behind Jaden Reed. Or he'd probably actually be ahead of Jaden Reed.
Yeah,
because he's playing really well.
I would probably have him about there as well. Somewhere around the Brian Thomas Jr. range.
I got really bummed when he got hurt. I think I only have 1 or 2 shares, but I really like what Rashee Rice brings to the table, man. And, I thought Patrick Mahomes had his guy for a long, and he still will. Mm-hmm. I think, this is one of those things. And I did see one of the videos, we called it an ACL. Yes, thank you, YouTube doctors. It's an LCL. Forgive me. It's a CL. All right. Throw whatever letter in there you want first. I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be. I don't even play one on TV. But then, Tank Dell, Josh Downs. Tank Dell's been inconsistent. Hate to see it. Josh Downs' quarterback situation's been inconsistent. Who knows? Maybe even Shane Steichen gets fired. I don't know. So it's just interesting. And then Parker Washington's been playing good lately too. So I mentioned that. So do you think the one question I had for you, though, Nate, about the 2023 class, do you think we could write off Jonathan Mingo at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
Okay.
Before he was traded. And then after he was traded, I wrote him off again.
Wrote him off a second time. All right, so let's go to my favorite position, how I like to build teams for some reason, the tight end position. Hey, Every point matters, right? Nate, give me your top 5.
All right. For 2023, I got Sam Laporta, and then Dalton Kincaid, Tucker Kraft, Michael Mayer, and then at 5, I got Luke Musgrave, who's unfortunately spent the entirety of the season on IR.
It's a shame, because if it wasn't for that, Tucker Kraft might not be so high on this list.
Who knows?
You know what? Listen, when opportunity knocks, got to answer that door. So I have pretty much the same except for number 5, but I'll go through it. We got Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid, Tucker Kraft, Michael Mayer. Still believe in Michael Mayer, by the way. I think a change of scenery would do him
especially
really well.
after this week.
You hear me talking about him on the next pod. And then at number 5, I have Brenton Strange over Luke Musgrave, just because Brenton Strange, I do like him athletically a little bit more than Luke Musgrave. And, you know, who knows what's going to happen down there in Jacksonville. And bring a guy in, run some more 2 tight end sets. Nate, 2024, pretty easy, but give it to me. What do you got?
All right. Looks like we got the same thing here, Mike. So I guess I'll go ahead and spoil it for both of us. Brock Bowers at number 1, Jatavion Sanders at number 2, Theo Johnson at number 3, Ben Sinnott at number 4, and Cade Stover at number 5.
True. Nate, this is actually a tough one. Who's the number 1, Brock Bowers or Sam Laporta? Sam Laporta not having the season we thought he was going to, but remember what he did as a rookie.
Well, what he did as a rookie wasn't as impressive as what Brock Bowers is doing as a rookie, because Brock Bowers just broke Sam Laporta's reception record by a rookie tight end this past week. So it is Brock Bowers at number 1 for me, pretty easily.
Sam Laporta over his rookie season. Brock Bowers right now, 15.8 fantasy points per game. Sam Laporta, he was tight end 1 last year at 14.1 fantasy points per game. So what Brock Bowers is doing is special. And no, he's not related to me. Stop asking. But then we could put Sam Laporta firmly at number 2.
Yeah.
Here's where I think it's actually going to start to get a little murky. Where do you go next? JT Sanders or Tucker Kraft or Dalton Kincaid?
I think the next 2 are still pretty standard for me. I'm going to go Kincaid here at 3, and I'm also going to say Tucker Kraft for 4.
I'm begrudgingly saying Kincaid. I don't think that he's having the season we expected him to. He's been banged up as well. So I want to try to kind of give him a pass right there. So you said you have Kincaid and then Tucker Kraft. And then who do we got at number 5? Are we sticking with
I'm okay with throwing Sanders in there if you want.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
You know, somebody said on a video recently too, JT Sanders could be a really good stash. It was our stash video. And I agree. And I thought about putting him. The reason I went with Ben Sinnott, and I want to say this to our audio viewers, which by the way, you could leave comments on Spotify as well. Listen to us on Spotify or wherever. I don't care. JT Sanders has already done a little bit more. And I feel like it would be harder to pay stash pricing for JT Sanders than it would for Ben Sinnott. So our consensus top 5 tight ends: Brock Bowers, Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid, Tucker Kraft, and JT Sanders.
Good stuff.
That is great stuff. I like doing stuff like this. If you guys like stuff like this, let me hear it. We want to know. And maybe next year we could try to do it for 3 classes, Nate.
Ooh, okay.
That would actually be pretty tough, I think.
I'm down.
Yeah, we might be able to do it. So until next time, everybody, check out the link below. Get some merch. I'm wearing a Dynasty Rewind logo tee right here. If you want to see it, check out the YouTube video. It's kind of a play on the old MTV logo. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review anywhere that you can. Patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind. We're giving you guys a week for free on me. It's crazy. Until next time, everybody. For Nate, I'm Mike. Thanks for listening.